Today I'm going to talk to you about 10 tools I reach for all the time when hand building pottery. Now, these aren't the only 10 tools in the world, and I use more than just these 10. However, if you're going to throw me on a desert island to make pottery and I only had 10 tools to choose from, these are the 10 that I would choose. So let's get started. So of course these aren't the only tools that exist, but these are the ones that I reach for quite constantly. Today I'm going to go through them in the order that roughly I use when I'm making a piece. I'll show you me making a piece as we go along as well. Starting with getting the clay flat, right through to getting your piece safely off the table and put away. Some of them cost almost nothing, some of them aren't even from a pottery supply store. And just to clarify, I mainly hand build, so this is from a hand building perspective. If you mainly wheel throw, you might choose a different 10. First up, a rolling pin. You're going to need this before you can do anything else because hand building, well, it doesn't always start with a slab, but often starts with a slab. A flat sheet of clay and a rolling pin is how you can get there. I want to emphasize the diameter here. A bigger, thicker rolling pin is better than a thin one. With a thin pin, you have to press much harder to get the clay flat, and that pressure goes into your hands. It gets uncomfortable fairly quickly. A thicker pin does more of the work for you. It doesn't need to be from a pottery supply shop. It can be from your kitchen, a secondhand store, anywhere. You're just looking for something with a decent amount of weight and fairly thick. While you can see me working on the clay with the rolling pin, you can also see that I have slats on either side of the clay. These are thickness guide sticks. They're just flat slats that you place one on either side of the clay to help you get an even thickness, both in terms of not having one side thicker than the other and getting it to the exact thickness you want. What you get is a slab that is exactly the thickness of your sticks every single time without any guesswork. You can buy them. I understand that some people get them from like paint supply stores for stirring paint. I have a bunch in different thicknesses from this thick to this thin, so it's up to you. I tend to use 6 millimeters, I would say, to be honest, but the others are all very useful. Tool number 3, a rib. It can be rubber, it can be silicone, it can be metal. I personally like a nice silicone rubber rib. You use it for two things, smoothing the surface of your slab and compressing the clay. Compression is something that doesn't get talked about enough when you're new to hand building. It's something that closes up the small surface gaps and helps prevent cracking later. It's a big, long topic, and I'm not going to get into it here, but just trust me, you want to smooth your clay and compress it. I use mine immediately after rolling before I do anything else with the slab. Some ribs are quite stiff, some are very flexible. The one you choose will depend on how you like using it. Next, a pin tool. So what I like about a pin tool is you can use it for more than one thing. You can use it to cut your clay, and you can use it to decorate and also to score it to where you'll mark it to put pieces together. So scoring is basically roughing up the clay surface before you join two pieces together so they bond. And you can also use it for detail work. If this is all you have, this will work just fine. They're very inexpensive, very necessary in my opinion. Now that your slab's rolled out, compressed, and cut to shape, it's probably too soft to work with yet. It needs to firm up a bit first, and this is where drying boards come in. These are flat boards that you put the slab on while it firms up. I use two types, plaster boards that I've cut to size and taped around the edges. The tape matters because loose plaster can get into your clay and can cause things to explode if the plaster goes through the kiln. And these stone bath mats made from diatomaceous earth, which you'll find in a lot of homeware shops, online, lots of places. Both draw moisture evenly out of the slab from below. If you're just starting out, the stone bath mats are probably the easier thing to use. So I'm going to show you with this piece of clay. You see how it's not firm? I'll put it on the bench, I'll put it on the drying mat, on the bath mat, and then you can see. Okay, I'm not sure how long it's been, but same piece of clay. Look, it's still flexible, but it's not floppy anymore. This is the end I was holding, but it holds out. Look at that. It's very useful. If you're finding this useful, make sure you're subscribed. There's a lot of build videos on my channel which shows most of these tools in use, and there's lots of good stuff for you to see there. The next 5 are what happens when you start putting the pieces together. Brushes. Brushes. You'll want a few different kinds because they do different jobs. I use a small thin one that I keep permanently in my slip for slapping on the slip to help the pieces to join together. That's the slip is the glue that we'll use together. I'll use bigger brushes like this for glazing. And then I will use stiffer brushes like this one to smooth the clay. So in places where it's been roughed up and I can't reach in very well, a stiff brush like this is quite good. I keep a small pot of water and brushes nearby at all times when I'm building. They're not expensive and it's easy to find them everywhere. So this one I call my wooden finger, but actually its proper name is a modeling tool. It's a small wooden tool, it's rounded on this side, and usually there'll be another tool on the opposite side. So you could use this one as well, but we're going to talk about this end. I use it for smoothing and compressing and connecting joints, particularly useful for getting into the places where your actual finger can't reach. And here's the thing about these, they normally come in sets. 10 or 12 tools for genuinely not a lot of money. So the next one, newspaper. I use newspaper all the time in the pottery studio, and this surprises people who don't do anything with clay. I use it for two things. I'll put it under a piece to help me rotate and reposition it without touching it too much. And then I will also put it under a piece when I'm leaving it to dry, because as the clay dries, it will shrink, and with the paper underneath, the paper will shrink with it, so that therefore the clay won't catch on anything and then possibly crack while it's shrinking. The next one are carry boards. They are simply flat wooden boards, and their only job is to let you pick up and move soft pieces without distorting them. When a piece is leather hard and you can handle it fairly confidently, it's fine, but when you've just made something and you know that every time you touch it, it's going to leave a mark, it's good to have a board underneath it to try and move it properly. I have several in different sizes and I use them constantly. You can cut them from scrap wood, you can find them, you can buy them from a hobby shop. Anything flat, smooth, rigid, and porous would be my thing to say, because then your clay won't stick to it too badly. It doesn't need to be complicated though. And the last thing I use, plastic. Just plastic. Bags, sheets, whatever you have. Cling film. You drape it loosely over pieces that are drying to slow the process down to help make sure it doesn't crack. It helps it to dry more evenly in that sense. I will also use it to keep scraps in while I'm making pieces that I've cut off so that they don't dry out too quickly. And in the summer, I especially use it so that things don't dry too quickly. So those are my 10. And looking at the list, none of these are particularly expensive. Several of them you probably already have at home. And none of them require a full studio setup before you can start. Hand building is genuinely accessible, and your tools can reflect that. Let me know in the comments if there's a tool that you swear by that I haven't mentioned, or if you use one of these in a different way. I'm always curious how people use their tools or what their favorite ones are. So I hope you found that interesting. Hope you found it helpful. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll talk to you soon.